welcome back to the channel. Over the fall last year, I was winching on a truck on the trailer and found out that after probably 2.5 to 3 years, my Harbor Freight Badland 12,000 pound winch finally gave up the ghost. This is the second one. I was able to get the first one warranted, this one as well outside of warranty period. So I'm swapping over to a X-Bull 13500 winch that I got off of Amazon. It has a synthetic rope. And then I think that the key killer that happened with this winch is that it was just out in the elements forever, and eventually just water got into places it wasn't supposed to. So I did get a nice new cover to make sure this one stays covered as well. So we're gonna start by getting this one taken apart and we're gonna start with getting this one taken off the trailer. We'll do the positive side first for the haters.
And what are we doing right here?
We're disconnecting the battery cables in the opposite order that you're actually supposed to disconnect them from, because who doesn't love a little controversy? Click, click. Click, click. Good?
Yep.
Teeth. Not great shape. Come on, boy. This is not the time for the tailgate to fall off.
Oh, it came with the windsock?
Oh, man, I bought a cover for no reason. Wait, I look like one of those guys at the hibachi restaurant. Alright, so like I said, I got a X-Bull 13,500 pound capacity trailer winch. Out of the box, everything looks pretty decent. It's got the cheap wiring that you find on everything, but I already planned on swapping everything over to nice cable at some point anyway, so that'll be in the future. But for the time being, this will be plenty for what we have to do. Nice coated aluminum housing, nice hardware that came with it. All seems pretty good. So we're just gonna get everything kind of organized here, get the winch bolted on, and just one thing at a time, we'll go through it with you. All right, so we got the control box mounted up to the top of the winch. There's 4 wires coming off, a red, a black and yellow, and a black and black. There's 3 studs here on the winch motor itself that are color coded red, yellow, and black, and that's where these wires go. And this one is a ground that will share the main ground stud, which is where your main ground wire goes to your battery along with your main power wire. All right, so from past experiences on the original winch I had on the trailer, also on the one that we're replacing, water kills these things. They create corrosion, especially with wires and cables that aren't sealed up the greatest. I'm gonna fill up these boots with some dielectric grease. That'll help keep all the moisture and corrosion from happening. No lock nut or lock washer, really? They have a lock washer and everything else, but they skip out on this. All right, so the mounting holes on these use these square nuts that go into these slots there. They're kind of a pain, and hopefully they don't fall out. We may put some tape over them, but that's ultimately what your mounting hardware goes up into and threads in place. So all the electrical is done. We're gonna get this mounted up quick. So the one thing to be cautious of is that your fair lead that comes with this, which protects the rope when you start pulling at different angles, it doesn't have a place to mount to the winch. It's not meant to mount to the winch directly. So in this instance, you need to mount it with this bracket. I forgot where this bracket came from. They're probably available online, Harbor Freight, stuff like that. So just one thing to keep in mind, if you're ordering a winch and you don't have one already, make sure you get this bracket, and then depending on the bracket and the bolts that comes with it, you may need to get longer bolts. So we have the fair lead installed onto the old bracket. I am going to reuse the bolts from before because they are, well, those aren't the right ones. Anyways, they're longer than the bolts that come with it, and they're just visually too short because you got like a 1/4-inch plate that the trailer's on, 3/16 plate plus the base. You want to make sure that you got good thread engagement on these, because ultimately these 4 bolts is what's going to be holding all that force of the winch. So load these up with some anti-seize, of course, and we're going to get that slid over into place and get these bolts started. Hold on, I want to clean that off. If you're ever buying a trailer and they have the option to have a built-in winch plate, just do it. You'll not regret it. It's way easier to have it be here and not need it than to need it and not have it. All right, cables look good, nothing got in the way. We're gonna put the hook on, and then we're gonna give this thing a test with the remote and see how it works. All right, so the one thing that I liked about this is that it did come with a wireless and a wired remote, which was all in one. The old winch I had, it wasn't wireless, and it was kind of a pain if you're out by yourself trying to winch a vehicle onto the trailer to be able to steer and run the winch at the same time. And not being in the vehicle when winching, if something was to break and not have a safety to be able to hit the brakes is kind of a sketchy thought for me. So having a wireless remote is really nice. Press and hold 3 seconds. Green light turns on. There's 2 little indicators up here. Green light means it's wireless. Red light means it's plugged in with the cord. You have the selector here. So if you turn it all the way clockwise, it will be disengaged, so you can pull it out by hand. Turn it to engaged, it locks in place. I wish that the handle lined up with the position it's in, but hey, that's all right. So, see what happens. Sweet, it works. That thing's actually pretty quick. Let's go ahead and we'll quickly hook up the wired remote too, just to make sure that that works. So got it wired in. There's a 4-pin connector that plugs into the bottom. Little cover up on the top for the electrical connector. Light turns red. Out goes out. And in goes in. So that's going to wrap it up for tonight. We will resume back when it's daylight. The procedure for this is you do have to unwind it out pretty much most of the way and then wind it back up under tension, and then it's ready for full service at that point. But for now, we're going to get this disconnected, and then we're going to throw on this cover that it came with because it is raining, and I don't want my new winch to die because of the rain. Which doesn't fit. All right, so it turns out the cover that comes with it probably isn't meant to cover it when you had the control box mounted up on top. However, I did have another cover that I bought off of Amazon, which I'll put down below because I didn't realize that this one came with one. In hindsight, that worked out pretty good. That one fit pretty good with the cover on top, with the wires behind it, and got it all kind of covered up all in one place. The old cover, this is a cover for one of those black circle Weber charcoal grills, which actually worked pretty decent for a long time on the other one. But this is good for now until I come up with a better solution. Pretty sweet that it's magnetic.
All right, for the YouTube video, what do you want to explain what you're doing real quick?
Yeah, so the instructions say to run it out, I think it says leave like 5 turns or so, and then pull at least 500 pounds on it. So truck trailer hooked up to a tree. Second gen's rusted out enough, it's probably about 500 pounds by now. So power on, truck's in neutral, tree's hooked up, and I'm just gonna help guide it to make sure the coils look nice. Take 2 because we're pulling uphill this time, unlike last time we were trying to pull downhill.
We were just testing out the range of the wireless remote. There's Kyle about 300 feet away, and this thing's still chugging. So, I mean, not like you're ever gonna have to be that far and use it, but that's good to know.
All right, that's gonna wrap it up. We got the XPV winch installed. So far, so good. Everything seems really good. Would have been nice to have this 3 days ago when I had to pick up a car on the side of the highway, but that's my fault for procrastination, and now it's done. So now it's ready, and probably won't have to use it again at all this year. But it's done. I'll let you know how it makes out. You'll probably see it getting used. If there's any issues, I'll make sure to update you guys. But that's going to do it for this video. Thanks for watching. We'll see you later.